There are many different martial arts that have come forward over the years in the public eye. From kickboxing to karate, from tai chi to taekwondo, but one that still sits in legend is that of Pankration. For many, Pankration is the first mixed martial art. So how does Pankration and modern MMA stack up against each other? One is rooted in ancient Greek warfare and Olympic glory, and the other is a global phenomenon that has redefined combat sports in the 21st century. But despite being separated by over 2,000 years, these two fighting styles have more in common than you might think, and some striking differences too. To understand the roots of Pankration, we have to travel back to ancient Greece, where it was introduced as an Olympic sport in 648 BCE during the 33rd Olympiad. The name comes from the Greek word pan, meaning all, and kratos, meaning strength or power. Literally, all powers. Pankration was considered the ultimate test of physical and mental toughness. Unlike other Olympic sports like boxing or wrestling, which had their own distinct rules, Pankration blended striking and grappling into one raw, nearly ruleless contest. It was brutal, efficient, and symbolic. The sport also used itself in military training among Greek soldiers, especially Spartans, because it simulated real-life combat conditions more closely than structured wrestling or boxing alone. The only two things you couldn't do in Pankration was eye gouging and biting. Everything else, punches, kicks, joint locks, chokes, takedowns, was fair game. In fact, some historical accounts even mention Pankratists breaking bones or killing opponents during fights. Fast forward to the 20th century, and you see the emergence of something strikingly familiar: mixed martial arts, or MMA. The term gained mainstream popularity after the formation of the Ultimate Fighting Championship in 1993. Back then, the UFC was promoted as a no-holds-barred contest to find the most effective martial art. But as the sport evolved, fighters began to borrow techniques from various disciplines: Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and judo, resulting in the well-rounded hybrid sport we now call MMA. Unlike Pankration, modern MMA operates under a carefully refined set of rules. The unified rules of MMA were introduced in the early 2000s to improve safety, especially after public and political scrutiny. Let's take a closer look at the rules. Pankration had almost none. Again, only banned moves were biting and eye gouging, and some versions banned attacking genitals, but not all. You could choke, strike, or even break limbs, and the fight didn't stop until someone either submitted, passed out, or died. Modern MMA, in contrast, uses the unified rules, which include 3 or 5 timed rounds, weight classes, protective equipment such as mouth guards, gloves and groin cups, and prohibited moves like headbutts, 12 to 6 elbows, groin strikes, eye pokes, and small joint manipulation. There are doctors, referees, judges, corner stoppages, and post-fight medical suspensions. All these safety measures are in place to preserve fighter health while still keeping the contest intense and real. Both Pankration and MMA are unique because they are not limited to just striking or just grappling. They are hybrid systems. In Pankration, fighters used an open palm striking technique that included punches and kicks, often focused on disrupting the opponent's balance and creating openings for grapples. Chokes and joint locks were widely used, and there's archaeological evidence of rear naked chokes and shoulder locks depicted in Greek art. In modern MMA, the technique pool is far deeper. Fighters train in striking arts like boxing, Muay Thai, and kickboxing, grappling arts like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo and sambo, and transitions and cage control, which have no direct parallel in ancient styles. Despite the technological and medical advances, many of the core techniques in MMA, like rear naked choke, guillotine, armbar, mirror, what we've seen in Pankration for centuries. A Pancratiast's training was rigorous. Ancient sources, like Philostratus, described full-body conditioning, wrestling drills, endurance running, and mental discipline. Training was deeply embedded in Greek society, especially through palaestra, a kind of gymnasium where combat sports were practiced. They didn't have modern supplements, gloves, or pads. They trained barefoot, bare-knuckled, and largely without time limits. In contrast, today's MMA fighters train in specialized gyms with separate sessions for striking, grappling, strength and conditioning, and recovery. They use video analysis, sports science, and nutrition plans tailored to weight class and fight schedule. Still, the goal is the same: create a fighter who can adapt, endure, and finish the fight in any position. Pankration wasn't just a sport though, it was a cultural symbol. Victors were given olive wreaths, statues, and lifelong pensions. They were considered war heroes and icons of Greek excellence. Modern MMA has created its own legends. Fighters like Royce Gracie, Georges St-Pierre, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Amanda Nunes, these athletes have transcended the sport to become global celebrities. Pankration was associated with philosophy and virtue. Modern MMA often struggles with PR due to its violent image, but fighters are increasingly seen as disciplined professionals, not barroom brawlers. In Pankration, fighters wore little more than a loincloth, or sometimes fought nude. There were no weight classes or time limits. In MMA, fighters wear gloves, shorts, and mouthguards, and must meet specific weight and medical requirements. Modern presentation also involves marketing, walkouts, commentary, and athletic commissions. Pankration matches were judged by direct results: submission, unconsciousness, or referee intervention. MMA incorporates the 10-point must system, corner stoppages, and scorecards, offering more structure. Greek culture viewed Pankration as a test of arete, excellence of body, mind, and spirit. It was meant to cultivate courage, endurance, and adaptability. Modern MMA also emphasizes discipline, honor, and humility, though it's often viewed through an entertainment lens. However, many fighters, including Jean St-Pierre and Lyoto Machida, have openly described their practice as philosophical and spiritual. There are many similarities between the two. They're both hybrid in nature, allowing striking and grappling. They have realistic combat, simulating real-world fighting better than traditional single-style sports. They also have minimal protective gear, emphasizing conditioning and technique over padding. They are finish-focused, where matches can end via strikes or submission, and there is a strong training ethos, full-body conditioning, and mental discipline. There are, of course, key differences. MMA is regulated. Pankration was not. MMA is sportified. Pankration bordered on battlefield preparation. Modern bouts are timed and judged. Pankration ended by result alone. MMA has a broader, deeper toolkit thanks to centuries of martial evolution. And MMA is global entertainment. Pankration was civic, spiritual, and sacred. Pankration walked so MMA could run. What was once a test of strength and survival in the arenas of ancient Greece has evolved into a global sporting empire where science, strategy, and spectacle collide. Yet the warrior spirit, the drive to test yourself against another human being in hand-to-hand combat, remains the same. So the next time you watch a UFC card or a local MMA event, remember, you're not just watching a modern sport, you're witnessing the rebirth of something ancient. If you enjoyed this dive into combat history, hit that like button, share with your friends, and make sure to subscribe for more comparisons, stories, and history-backed breakdowns of the fighting world. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay